Hello and welcome to the Sewing Studio. Today is the month of June for our postcard club. So this is what I've done for June. So I've got a picnic blanket, I've got a basket with a bottle of wine, of course, and some glasses, and tea and cake. So I'm going to show you how to do this, or give you some ideas of what you can do if you haven't got the same fabrics as me. Because at the end of the day, this is all about using up all your little scraps. So before we start on today's, I'm just going to give you a recap of the postcards that we've done so far. So we've got, let's start with, where are we? We've got January, February, March, April and May, with our little characters dancing around the maypole, and then this is June. So you will notice that we've got landscape and portrait, and I will explain right at the very end when I show you how to put them all together, how you can make these all fit, and we're going to use sashing, but I'll come on to that in a later video. So let's get on with today's. So as I say, I'm trying to create the illusion of a picnic blanket. So in my stash, I had this lovely greeny fabric, which looks like it's got flowers in. And then I've got this check fabric. So I've cut this into a rectangle, and this is going to form our picnic blanket. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to have it square like that. You want to turn it at an angle, offset it. So that's going to be our picnic blanket. So the other thing we're going to do is we're going to make the basket, and then you can put whatever you want in your basket. What I did, let's come back to this one. What I did for my tea and cake was I used some fabric that I had left over, and I had this piece of fabric that was left over from the Queen's Jubilee, and this was in my scrap box. And as I say, this is all about using up the scraps. So I'm going to use this teapot. I've put a little square of bond web on the back. I'm going to cut out this teapot. And this technique is called fussy cutting. When you use the pattern that's within the fabric and you actually use that as part of your applique, so that's called fussy cutting. Now, if you hadn't got a piece of fabric like I've got with cakes and cups of tea on, what you could do is you could cut a circle of white for your plate, and then you could get some squares of yellow fabric and you could put those onto the plate, and then you could put a little red blob on the top like a cherry. You could either use a bead or a button, or you could do a little embroidery French knot. So there's lots you can do, and the idea of this is for me to just give you some ideas to inspire you so you can add to your picnic blanket whatever you want. So the next thing I did was very roughly, and as I say, every month, I'm no artist, so I very roughly drew a basket which I'm going to trace around. And I had this fabric which I thought looked a bit like straw or basket weave. So I'm just going to put that on there. We're going to trim that down a little bit actually, so it fits on better. It's funny how we get pressures over our scraps. So I'm just going to the iron now to press that on. So that's the basket ready. If I'm not quite happy with that shape, I'm just going to change that a little bit. That's better. And then I'm going to trace the bottle of wine. And I'm going to show you how to tuck that down inside. So you need to get all your pieces ready before you iron them down. And then I'm just going to trace around these glasses very roughly. So you can see on this very rough drawing that I've done here, but I'm actually not going to do the base because you'll see that the base is tucked in behind the basket. So I'm just going to do a rough drawing of glasses just to give the idea that that's what they are. Anyone who knows me would know that there would be glasses in my picnic basket, along with a bottle of wine. Maybe even Prosecco. And I thought I'd use a white shiny fabric for this, just to give the illusion of glass. It's a bit of a wonky glass, but never mind. I'm not going to get too upset over that. So I'm going to take all the pieces over to the iron now, and I'm going to break the back of the bonder web, and I'm going to press them all in place. So the first thing I'm going to do is put our picnic blanket on. As I say, these are all cut at 7 by 5. It may be that we trim them down a little bit, or I may just leave them as they are when we come to the finishing touches. So I've just put the blanket on just at a slight angle. So with the basket, I'm going to place the basket on there, and then I want the wine to look as if it's in the basket. So you'll notice I haven't pressed them yet. I'm just taking the backing off, and I'm going to play around with them until I'm happy that they're in the right position. And the glasses are a bit fiddly. I'm just going to tuck that in there like that. So I'm not very happy with my other shape, so I'm going to leave that for the moment. But for today, I'll just put that one glass in there like that to show you how it's done. And then I'm going to put my teapot on the picnic blanket as well. So if I was doing this at home, I'd cut another glass now and then tuck it in, so I've got 2. But I'm just going to do 1 for now. I'll put my teapot on and then carefully press them into place. And so you can see that's the start of our picnic blanket. Now I could do a plate with some cakes, or I could do a nice jelly shape. There's lots of things you can do. And then if you've got any little embellishments at home, so I've got these little butterflies, you can actually just attach one of those butterflies to the top of your basket, like I've done on this one. And all I did was I used this high-tack glue for attaching the butterfly to the basket. So that's my idea of what June should be about: outside, having picnics, having fun, being out in nature. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope I've inspired you, and I look forward to seeing you next month for July's postcard.